Alright, standing back here in the engine bay area of the AMC shop, and there's a bunch of engines here, and a bunch of opportunities for me to show you guys what to look for if you're looking to have an engine rebuilt. I know the Cougar's engine's got like 300,000 miles on it at this point, and I'm going to have to rebuild it at some point. So number one, I guess since we have these right here, this is one of the things that you'll want to look at for engine rebuilds / replacements and whatnot. These right here are lifters, and they operate a bunch of stuff inside the engine. These lifters right here, if they're flat like this, you can see them. And if they got any concave nature to them whatsoever, that means that they're worn out and they need replaced. I would recommend using roller lifters because although they are more expensive, they last pretty much indefinitely. So this is something that's going to need replaced more than likely if your engine is worn out to the point of needing to be redone. And your camshaft is also probably going to need replaced because as these wear out, the camshaft will also wear out. On top of that, your actual cylinder walls themselves, these are quite dirty and dusty and need a little bit more love. But your cylinder walls themselves, these right here will actually wear in like a taper pattern. Like the wall is supposed to be straight like this, it will wear kind of like in a pattern like this. And there's different gauges that you can use to determine how worn out it is. But these right here are often steel lined or steel sleeved, and that allows you to be able to more or less machine the inside of it to allow a nice flat surface again. You'll have to go out and get pistons that are slightly oversized to fit the new cylinder walls, but that's definitely the way to go, because if these get too wore out, then your engine's going to start smoking because oil is going to start getting past the piston rings, and that's just going to cause a lot of smoke and a lot of headache. So these right here are going to get bored out. Typically 30 thousandths of an inch is a normal go-to. And then you'll want some oversized pistons to be able to run in those. On top of that, if you absolutely need to, the crankshaft will either need to be turned or replaced or something like that, depending on how bad it is. Like if you run your fingernail along your crankshaft and your fingernail doesn't get caught on any of the cam surfaces, you can probably get away with reusing that. However, I would definitely recommend getting it turned and polished, but that's one of those things where if you don't need it, you probably won't need it. All right, on top of that, we also have our cylinder heads. The valves on the cylinder heads have various seals and whatnot on them that oftentimes need to be replaced just because they wear out over time. Even the valves themselves, if you have a particularly powerful engine, you might want to replace the individual valves, like just going through the head itself, that will determine what it is that you need to replace on your particular engine. But more often than not, you can keep the valves and just replace the seals, and you'll probably get away with that just fine. As long as you're not like rocking a race car engine or something like that. If you're doing just a street car rebuild, then you can just get away with replacing those oil seals, and that should serve you just fine. The next big one is probably going to be your bearing surfaces inside your engine. You're going to have bearing surfaces where your crankshaft goes along with the camshaft itself. The camshaft bearing surface, that you'll probably have to send to a machine shop versus something like the main bearings like we have down here that holds the crankshaft. These can be replaced yourself. Now you'll have to look at them, see how wore out they are. Again, run your finger on them, see if your fingernail catches anything. Typically if it's high mile, you'll see a really clear wear mark on those main bearings, and they're really not that difficult to replace. Definitely a lot less difficult than people make it out to be. So if you're doing a complete engine rebuild, your main bearings on your crankshaft and then your bearings on your camshaft are definitely some of the ones that you would want to look for. So I think that covers pretty much all of the main points of rebuilding an engine and the main things that you would want to look for unless your particular engine has some issues. Like for example, if you have, I don't know, a cracked head or something, of course you would want to replace that head versus just taking it and throwing it back on the engine. Then you're going to end up having some issues. So hopefully that helps some people out. Hopefully you learned something about rebuilding an engine, and it gives you an idea of what to look for and what to get whenever you go to rebuild your particular engine with whatever project it is that you have going on.